Love came to teach us how to love, to truly love, to love unconditionally. Love chose us to bring forth love.
I've got a question, but I ain't got the answer. So maybe you can help a brother out if you like, why can't we just love each other? You're my sister, you're my brother. Can we find a way to figure this love thing out? What the world needs is L-O-V-E love. What the world needs is L-O-V-E love. Oh, lately the world's been going crazy, but hate divides. Love's the one thing that unifies. Oh, brother, what's going on? So we've got to come together in love. What the world needs is L-O-V-E love. What the world needs is L-O-V-E love. We need elevation, no discrimination, no miseducation, all across the nation. Politicians making money off the poor. We ain't got no voices, they know we won't fall. I can't breathe, never say no more. What the world needs more of this. What the world what the world needs more of is love, sweet love. We need immigration, come on, let's love this nation. With no hesitation, let's love as a nation. No matter who's in love, if you agree and if you don't, we've gotta love one another. One another. One another. One another. It's love. Ooh, L-O-V-E. L-O-V-E. L-O-V-E.
Hello, and welcome. I hope you guys enjoyed that. LOVE. It's what we've been talking about all week long. This is a very, very, very special conversation during the very first week of Love and Unity here in West Orange. And I'm so excited. You guys know that we have been hosting the Love and Unity Fest now for 7 years. It will be our 8th year as we have this full week of love and unity, just using the arts to bring people together from all backgrounds, all cultures, all identities, just bringing the whole community together in LOVE, love. I am your host of this week, founder of the Love and Unity Fest, Week of Love and Unity and Music Village, called Brister. And that was a remix of a song that I wrote called LOVE. And I'm so happy to share that tonight as we discuss this important topic, loving your LGBTQ plus child. It is so important that I have a very special co-host with me tonight, my very good friend, author, and music industry executive, Mr. Akim Bryant. Akim, hey.
What's going on, Carl?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm so excited, man. Thank you for being here with me.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've been planning this for a minute, so I'm excited to have this conversation and just, let's spread the love, man.
Yeah, we got to do that, you know. But you've been coming out to the fest for many years, man. You brought moms out.
Yes, brought my mom out last year. She came out to have a good time. The weather was perfect. Just the environment was perfect. I'm from the Oranges, the East Orange area, so it was close to home, and just to experience that type of energy, so close to home is, you know,
Yeah,
there's nothing compared to it. So
yeah, for sure. And you know that energy is going to continue this week. We have the eighth annual Love and Unity Fest this Saturday,
wow,
right? May 20th from 1 to 6 p.m. in West Orange, New Jersey,
yes, eight
Liberty
years.
Middle School.
Wow.
I'm excited. This is a rain or shine event, everybody. So we want to see you all come out this Saturday at the Love and Unity Fest, which will culminate this whole week, this beautiful week of love and unity we've been having, man. And tonight's conversation is another jewel in the midst of so many that we've had this week, man. This is a special conversation. We have some great guests tonight as well.
Yes, we do. Incredible speakers, a very special music guest, and yeah, I think it's going to be a very rich conversation. So
Let's get to it. Let's get to it. So I'm going to let you do the honors to present this topic and share, and then we're going to have some great guests. So if you guys are at home, you need to share this on your social networks, and also feel free to chat, comment if you have questions. We will be answering questions tonight as well. Subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, so you can get the replay and you'll get all the latest information about the Love and Unity Fest, my music, and even more. But I want you guys to hear from my co-host right now. You take it away, my friend.
yeah, I just wanted to just quickly introduce myself to everyone. And yeah, I mean, like I mentioned, I grew up in the East Orange area, which is right next to West Orange, where all the great activities and everything are happening this week. And yeah, just on a personal level, this conversation is just really important to me because, as a kind of Gen X person, growing up in the 80s and 90s, like there really wasn't much opportunity to have these conversations. So there really wasn't much safe space, for me being, part of the LGBTQ plus community, to find community, to find support. I didn't come out to my mom until I was 21 years old. So there were, a lot of years before that where there was just a lot of doubt and questions, and didn't necessarily know what the future held, even though, I did have a lot of hope, and I did, press through and was able to, get through college and everything like that. Shout out to William Patterson University in Jersey. But yeah, so it was an interesting experience just growing up. And like I mentioned, it's just so important to have these type of conversations for young people to see reflections of themselves, and just to kind of see what is possible for the future. And I think this conversation will hopefully help a lot of parents out there, a lot of teachers, a lot of people in the community to just know the level of support that is necessary for anyone to be successful in life. Everyone needs the love and everyone needs the support. So yeah, that's why we're here. And then also too, just a reminder to everyone involved and everyone, we do have the comments section open. So if there's anything that you would like to ask, there's anything that you would like to contribute to the conversation, please drop it into the comments section. I do want to caveat that with, please know, this is the code of kindness. Basically, we don't want to, no hate speech, no profanity, no divisive language, please. Again, this is a space of love and unity. So if there's, something that even you feel like might be a little bit of a testy topic to approach, there's always a way to do so respectfully. So just as a reminder. And yeah, I think we're ready to move forward. Just waiting for Carl to pop back in a moment. Uh-oh. Slight delay. Hold on one moment. Okay.
All right, guys, I'm so sorry for that delay. But listen, we have awesome guests today. And thank you, Akim, for sharing. Listen, we have with us R&B recording artist Tanya Nolan. Yeah. So we're excited to hear from her. Exactly. She'll be with us shortly, so don't go anywhere. In addition to Akim, we have representatives from the West Orange Public Schools with us, and you'll hear from them shortly. And we have two guests that are going to join us right now. I'm going to bring them on. Damian and Justine. Hey, guys.
Hi, how are you?
How are you? All right, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to allow you to please introduce yourselves. Justine.
Sure, yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Justine Evyn Saliski. I am a project manager and trainer and camp director for Garden State Equality. My work really focuses on youth engagement and creating safe and nurturing spaces for our young folks and the future generation of New Jersey. So I'm excited to be here and hopefully offer some really great insight for the folks who are joining us.
Awesome.
And also, sorry, it says it on my screen, but my pronouns are also she, her, hers.
Got it. Thank you so much. And Akim, you want to introduce Damian, or Damian, would you like to introduce yourself?
No worries. Hi, folks. So my name is Damian Allen Lopez. My pronouns are he, they. I am also a project manager and trainer at Garden State Equality. My initiative focuses on really academia, so as well as Justine's, where we are going out and we're doing workshops, facilitations for either community members, students, educators, anyone in academia to really help and cultivate safe spaces for all, whether they are students, teachers, or part of the community or allies. And I'm also a published LGBTQ award-winning author. So I'm super happy to be here, and I'm excited for the Love and Unity week.
Awesome. We need to know about that book.
Yes.
Please share.
Oh God. Okay. It's a good one. It's a good one. And I'm saying that very biasedly. So
it is a good one. You're not biased.
I don't have it next to me. I usually do.
Oh, there it is right there.
Yeah, it's somewhere in my house. I have many copies around. So it is a Puerto Rican children's book that focuses on a Puerto Rican prince. And he kind of, comes out to his parents. It doesn't necessarily say like coming out. It says, I'm not a princess, I'm a prince. So it focuses on transgender identity, family dynamics of Latinx communities, and also, just gender identity and how family dynamics can differ in terms of, I'll say, Indigenous Latino representation and community. So it really does, focus on just being young and knowing how to identify yourself, whether you're a princess or a prince or a knight or whatever. And to let kids know that those words and like how to really identify is okay.
Awesome. Yesterday, just to interject, we had a beautiful event called Share Your Story. And there were 13 authors for the Week of Love and Unity Fest. We had 13 authors who had written, different children's books out sharing and reading to kids of all backgrounds and all cultures and identities. And it was a beautiful, beautiful event. I want to shout out the St. Cloud's Diversity Council for organizing that for the first Week of Love and Unity. It was beautiful. So congratulations to you, Damian, on
Thank
the
you.
book. Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Akim?
Yeah, I'll jump in definitely. So yeah, just to kick things off, Justine, if you wouldn't mind also sharing your kind of just personal story in terms of, where did you grow up? How did you grow up? How do you identify? And along those lines, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, so I am in the Oranges as well. I am in West Orange, but I grew up in New York. So I am originally I was born and raised in Staten Island, and I went to college in New Jersey, and I moved here about 5 years ago. So a lot of my background has been in education and theater. So I have both of my degrees are in theater and theater education. And I really use a lot of that skill set that I have in order to bring awareness about marginalized communities to my nonprofit work. As a member of the LGBTQ plus community, I came out, I want to say it was my junior year of college. That's when I came out. But I knew that I was gay from when I was 6 or 7 years old. Like, I have very distinct memories. So I think about a lot of that in the work that I do, especially now with children and in the data and the statistics of what we know about children when they are really learning and discovering who they are. And that's at such a young age that they're able to really put words to who they are as people. I think that's a really important thing to share. So I always do like to share that about myself too. Sometimes walking into a space, people wouldn't necessarily assume that I was within the community. So I always want to make sure that my visible representation matters, especially for kids, to know that if they're with me in a space, it is a safe space for them to be in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's an important point to make is, when I myself was about 5 or 6 years old when I first knew that something was different, felt different from the other boys in my class, and I believe also too, it's when you start, the school journey and you're getting into kindergarten and first grade is when you're really able to see your reflection and realize what the differences are. And, to your point, it's important to create those safe spaces so that kids have the freedom to explore and just really understand what that identity is about before the judgments come into place. So thank you for sharing your personal story. And Damian, of course, definitely want to get into yours as well. And also want to ask how much of the story that you wrote in your book relates to your own personal experience.
I always think that's a funny question. And one, because when you think of book representation, and there's literally 98% is white cis kids or animals. So Latino and LGBTQ Latino representation, BIPOC representation isn't really on there. So I tell people that while some of the picture book information, like the dynamics, is similar to my life, the ending may not be the same, but it's the ending kids need to hear, of being affirmed and being told that they're loved no matter who they are. And so I'm a proud Puerto Rican trans man. I grew up in North New Jersey, to a Latino household. And again, in Latino households, there's always that taboo talk of we love family. We're all about family. We're all about this. We got your back no matter what. Yeah. Unless you're gay, unless you're different, unless you don't do this, unless you don't do that. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So so it's kind of hypocritical. And so I really didn't have representation of queer identities, and I didn't really, I didn't come out as trans until I want to say my last semester of college, which was I think September 2019, so right before the pandemic. Wow. But always knew, so I kind of grew up as a tomboy, some people would say, and just kind of. And I think it's funny when you kind of look back on it and you're like, oh, that's what that meant. That's why I dressed up in boys' clothes and called myself Michael for a day. And it kind of makes sense now, right? And the light bulb kind of clicks, oh, these things make sense. No wonder I'm trans. Duh. It's always been in me. I just had to realize what the words were. And yeah, so sorry, my puppy wants attention. So, had left my mother's home because she wasn't affirming. My father was affirming, and he helped me choose my name, not change my name, which was really sweet. So I definitely think we've bonded since I've kind of transitioned as now his only son. And so, no, yeah, it's been an interesting ride. It's been interesting in terms of like knowing who's affirming, who is going to be there for you. Kind of like that reflection of who's going to have my back if I don't have mine. And I think the biggest thing about maybe being queer or being trans is really that self-love that you have to love yourself unconditionally, to really recognize this is who I am. And I love myself enough to know that this is who I am, and to love myself unconditionally. And if other people don't want to do that, then I have myself for that, and I'll find community for that. And I think that's one of the biggest things that really kept me going, is knowing that I'm doing this for my happiness. And that doesn't, my happiness isn't I'll say navigation for someone else. Because it's my life. And like my dad said, I came out to him, he was confused for a little bit. He said he'll call me back in like 3 days. But then he called me back and he's like, I love you, and he's like the straightest Puerto Rican man you'd ever meet. Wow. But he was like, knew nothing about LGBTQ, but he was like, I love you. I'll support you. I'll never turn you away. And there are people like you before you were born. There'll be people like you after you die. And you owe it to yourself to live as you are and to live for who you are. And I was like, okay, Dad, I lie. But it's literally and that goes into what we're going to talk about, but finding community and those people who are supporting you that mean the most. And I told my dad, like, Dad, I'm not telling you I'm depressed. I'm not telling you I'm suicidal. I'm telling you the facts, the statistics of kids who don't have this, of kids who need this, and what happens to their mental health. Yeah. And that's why I need your support, because so many kids statistically don't have that support who are trans, and don't have support from their parents that could really change their life, because they need it. Right. But it's been a good ride, and I'm happy that I'm still here. Happy that I have supportive friends, coworkers, and now chosen family that have also done a lot for me. I really do owe them a lot as well when they took me in after I left my mother's house. But it's it's really about finding the right community for you, and I couldn't have been happier with how everything turned out.
Yeah, I think that's the most important part is the unconditional love that everyone is required, just to kind of, that's what props you up into life. That's what makes you go out into the world and face all of the challenges and everything that the world is going to throw at you, all the self-doubt or whatever. Like, you need that foundation of unconditional love to fall back on, so that that there's a group of people, no matter what you do or say, ultimately they love you regardless. And that is extremely important. That's the the segment that we have here in terms of parental support, and just kind of how important that is. Justine, if you wouldn't mind sharing some of the facts and statistics that you have on the success of LGBTQ plus youth who are supported in the home versus those who may not feel supported.
Yeah, so I think that the real important aspects to talk about when we're thinking about the statistics of how youth are impacted by support or not, I think that the numbers that show students who, not just students, but youth who are not supported, is staggeringly high in comparison to those who are, when it comes to those who are experiencing any form of mental health trauma. So we know that for queer youth, and when I use the term queer, I'm using that really as an umbrella term. There are some specific studies that are only referring to LGB youth. So that would only be lesbian, gay, and bisexual, because in some instances, unfortunately, there's just not enough information and data to let us know the statistics for transgender youth, because the studies just have not been done. with knowing that there are not as many young people who are comfortable or feeling like they are safe in a space where those studies can take place. But when we're looking at the overall stats for queer youth, we know that almost 70% of queer youth experience generalized anxiety disorder. Over 55% of queer youth have some form of major depression, and almost 50% of youth who have requested services for mental health, whether that be going to therapy or taking medication to help with what it is that they're going through, have been denied those services. And some reasons that they have been denied have been lack of insurance. But unfortunately, a lot of the reason that those numbers are high is because parents and guardians and family that these young people are living with are not allowing for them to be who they are. And in those cases, it is just pushing that barrier further and further between allowing for somebody to live authentically, and then with that, being able to be in a space where their mental health is what matters more than anything else. And when we see what those high numbers are, one space that we can talk about transgender youth is when they're in school. We know that 70% of transgender youth are victimized and bullied in the bathrooms alone. And then a lot of those youth, over 50% of those youth, develop bladder issues. They develop eating disorders because they just do not feel safe going into a restroom for fear of being tormented and bullied. And with that, they miss almost double the amount of school that cisgender students are in school because of taunting and bullying and just lack of safety in their spaces. And when we're thinking about youth who are experiencing that in school, if they're not receiving that support at home, where is there any kind of space for these young people to thrive and be just human beings, right? So when we think about how important it is to have support at home, if you're not getting all of that support at school, you need to have a home base. And I think the really big thing to think about is, would you rather your child be alive or would you rather your child not? And that's a really hard truth to swallow for some people. But the answer should always be that you want your child to be alive. And there are resources and there are spaces that can help families understand how to support their child, because all of the good things that we hear from youth who feel supported, like there's only 25% of youth who have come forward in the last survey of 2021 to say that they feel the utmost support while they are at home with their families. And those supports look like families who go out and do research, families who go to therapy with each other, families who will watch a TV show or a movie with an LGBTQ plus character in it, families who read books like Damian's book in order to really immerse themselves in the culture, the queer culture that exists. And although it might take some time and you will make mistakes along the way, we always go into our trainings talking about practicing purity of motive. And if you give yourself that grace in understanding that you're going to mess up, but it is your responsibility to do better because this is your child, that is the place that you need to be in. So we can get those stats to be way lower than they are now.
Yeah. And Damian, I wanted to follow up to piggyback on what Justine just mentioned. For me, coming up, we're two different generations. When I was coming out, the West Village specifically, was a really safe space for the community. It was where a lot of us kind of discovered who we wanted to be. Teenage years, hop on the PATH train and go to Christopher Street, and we were all over the village. And that's no longer the case today. So I'm wondering from your perspective, like, where do you go to find your community, especially when you were first, stepping out to find community? Where did you find that safe space?
I think that's such a. I always think everything is funny. I'm sorry. I think it's a funny question because I tell people I'm a bit still shocked about queer culture because I jokingly say I've only been a guy for 3 years in the books, but like it's like it's still very new. It's still very interesting. So I really immersed myself into it. I feel like when I first found a safe space, that was when I was in college. Because I met other queer people and then I was like, wait, what is this? And I ended up going to like a training and I was like, why does this word resonate with me? And then, did my research, making sure that I, whatever. And then, it hit me, I'm trans. And I love that question too, because especially growing up in Newark and not finding that visibility, have to now seeing that visibility always had been there, but it, I didn't realize it was there. I need you to get off my desk, Stevie. And she's like crawling to be with me.
I'm sure.
So I think it's very funny because I even reflect on this in the work that I'm doing now, which I absolutely love because I feel so close to my community and I know like these are my people, my teammates, and we have a joke like we say workers, but it's funny. And they really, I feel so seen with them in like knowing that there's other BIPOC queer people around me, knowing that there's other BIPOC queer people that's always existed around me too, and people who are in my family that've been LGBTQ, but my family be like, oh no, they're como se dice eso, puerco, like they're dirty, they're nasty, don't go near them, and I'm like, hi, dude, that's my cousin. So just kind of reflecting on that growth there, it's always been there, and I feel like the safe space that I've also had was with my chosen family because those individuals had were such a big part of my journey. They took me to my top surgery. They took me to get my driver's license at the time, and they really just took care of me the way I needed to feel authentic, to feel unconditionally loved. And it really felt like finding good community that's always been there, but also making sure that you're kind of breaking down the barriers that held you back too, because again, talking about that self-love and that selflessness, that makes sure that if there's not a place that's going to love me, I'm going to find the people that are going to love me. And that's what I have now. Like I have friends, I have really close chosen family, I have wonderful coworkers that are literally like my family. Like I've never been so happy to live. Like it feels authentic. It feels, I give myself a lot of grace, and I give myself a lot of I feel a lot of gratefulness to be where I am now, and the people that surround my life. But it's out there, and I think the whole point is that it's just about our knowledge that it's there, because we tell people, yeah, there's only 2 like LGBTQ youth homeless shelters in Jersey, and they're like, what? And I'm like, or like, yeah, there's like, we have almost 500 LGBTQ affirming or safe space healthcare facilities on our healthcare map that we just launched. Shout out to Jamila. And they're like, I didn't even know this was in Tom River, or I didn't even know this was in Norfolk, or I didn't know this was in blank. And we're like, it's out there. It's just now that because the needs and people can feel so authentically themselves, and that's why we're seeing more kids come out as queer. That's why we're seeing more adults finally saying, I'm actually this. I've been like this my whole life, and they can confidently say, this is who I am, and this is how I've always been, and not have that social stigma that stops them from doing that. And that's why we see the need increase, and it's there, and it's out there, and it's growing, and thank gosh, because we do need those services just like students need those services as well. So it's there. It's just we have to find it and find our community as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We have to find the community, find the love. It's out there. It's alive for anyone to tell anything different, and just the information is just pretty much all we really need to really find the safe space that we need to thrive. So yeah, thank you, Justine and Damian, for sharing the facts and your personal experiences. And
Yes, and before you all go, I want to share. I met Justine and Damian at a workshop that was being conducted by one of our next guests, and it was for parents. And there was so much powerful information that you shared. And in fact, here we have a comment from Christian Fusarino. Powerful words, Damian. Community is so important. And shout out to everybody that's leaving comments. You've been getting comments throughout. Aaron, said that Justine come with the facts,
Yes.
and if there's anyone out there that has questions or would like to leave a comment, please leave your comments, and we'll definitely have our guests do their best to answer, or perhaps get back to you through email. And this was a statistic that I saw at the Trevor Project, and this is what arrested me so much when I attended your workshop about the impact of family on the youth. And the second point here says LGBTQ youth who felt high social support from their family reported attempting suicide at less than half the rate of those who felt low or moderate social support. And I think that speaks to the points that you both have made as it relates to the importance of family support, which is what brought us here. There are parents who love their children and want to be supportive, but may not know how to go about it, or that it is important to do so. And whether that looks like agreement or they're entitled to their own feelings about it is another conversation. Supporting our children can be a matter of life or death.
Yes.
And so I like what you said, Justine, when you said, do you want, you said something to the effect of, do you want them to live or not? You want them to be here with you or not? And that's why we're here. We want to just offer ways that parents can support their children and show them the love that they need on their journey. And I thank you both for what you've shared. And I know that there are parents out there who are listening intently and may now know, hey, I need to support my child. So thank you so much for being here. I hope that you'll stay with us in case we get another question. And we're going to allow one of our next guests to come. But we thank you so much for the time that you shared.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yes,
All
thank
right.
you.
Yes. And you both will be at the Love and Unity Fest this Saturday, May 20th, West Orange, New Jersey, 1 Kelly Drive, Liberty Middle School, from 1 till 6 p.m. So if you have questions and you want to meet Justine or Damian in person and just sort of kick it a little bit more, come on out to the fest. And speaking of the fest, here's what the fest is really about and what you'll see when you get there. We see a lot of divisiveness in our neighborhoods, in the news, and in our relationships. It separates us from coming together as human beings. But we can change the story by coming together and celebrating our diversity and bringing positivity to counter the negativity through the power of love. And music has always been a way to bring people together. Hi, I'm Carl Brister, singer, songwriter, recording artist, and dad to these guys, Justin and Jordan. And I want to personally invite you to the Love and Unity Fest, where we can spread love through great performances from different styles from across the globe. There'll be food trucks and fun activities for the kids, right guys?
Yeah.
So let's come together and we can send the greatest message of all out to the world.
Love.
Yes, exactly. That's what it's about. Love. Shout out to my two guys there. Now, Justin and Jordan are much taller now. But that's how the Love Community Fest started. I began to see the world through the eyes now of a dad, and who was raising young sons of color in a world that had become increasingly violent and marginalized, and that is the same and tenor under which this conversation is had for the LGBTQ plus community. Um, and we're joined now by Karen. I'm going to allow you to announce yourself, Karen.
Hi, I'm Karen Peyragrosse. My pronouns are she, her.
And she's school counselor
Yes, I'm a school counselor at Roosevelt Middle School.
in West Orange, New Jersey.
Mhm.
And Deb?
Deb Cohen, my pronouns are she, her. I teach photography at the high school after 13 years down at Roosevelt. And I'm also one of the co-advisors of the GSA, Genders and Sexualities Alliance.
All right. And they will also be at the Love and Unity Fest this coming Saturday. And please know it is rain or shine. So if it rains, we will be indoors, but we will have the fest. And if the weather forecast changes, we'll be outdoors. But we're going to be at the fest this Saturday, May 20th. And I'm so excited that you guys. I keep saying you guys. You told me what your pronouns were. But I want to thank you for being here, and I want to thank you for the work that you do in the schools. And can you both sort of speak to the response that a school has when a child comes out or has questions about their identity?
So I'm going to say it depends who the child comes out to. And most of the time, I think they're going to first come out to their friends. And the response is very positive, and students usually have no problem at all. They feel very supported and very accepted. They could come out to a staff member, a teacher, a school counselor, and the response is going to be a little bit different. We do train all teachers and all staff members throughout the year, and with Garden State Equality as an example. But so we do train the staff so that they are equipped to respond to students when that time comes. But some staff members are not as comfortable talking about it. Not that they're not accepting of the LGBTQ students. It's just that some staff members are not comfortable with the language and the notions, and then don't know how to respond to students. And it's the same when students cry in the room and they send them to us because they're not sure they're going to say the right thing, and they turn to professionals. So that's sometimes what happens. But oftentimes I have to say that students will come out to one adult specifically in the school, and this adult can be very different. It's usually one teacher that they really trust, and it goes really well. Now, nobody is allowed to out a student. So when the student talks to me, for example, I'm not allowed to tell anyone else. And this is a discussion that we have with the students. Who knows about it? Are your parents aware of it? How do you feel about it? Do your friends know about it? Do other teachers know about it? Because this is very important. And sometimes students take an entire year to come out to all of their teachers, and that's fine, and they don't have to. But it's just something that we need to think about. It would be very disrespectful to out a student.
Absolutely. But there are some parents out there that will be comforted in knowing that if their child is having these thoughts, there is a system in place to support at school. And I think that's important information for parents to know. But now for that child, and it's grade school, whatever the grade is, whether it's high school or middle school or otherwise, there's always that friend that you sort of tell your secrets to, and they say, yeah, I'm not going to tell anybody, and the next thing you know, they told two friends, and so on and so on and so on, and they've shared something personal. So the student didn't exactly come out, but they were forced out. What do we say? And perhaps they're experiencing bullying. What type of things are there in support of the child, or what can they do? Where can they go?
So I am also the anti-bullying specialist, and they're anti-bullying specialist in all the schools. So I think in that case, we would put in place an HIB investigation, as we call. So it's harassment, intimidation, and bullying investigation. The tricky part in that question is that because we're not supposed to out students, when we do an HIB, we have to contact parents, we have to contact a lot of other students. So I think we would treat it as if it's a rumor, because we don't want any student to feel this way and to feel bullied. That's period, end of the story. So we would definitely address the issue, I believe, as an HIB situation. And we want all students to feel accepted and supported, and that's it. You know, we really want them to feel safe, and we do create safe spaces in the school so that they know where to go and they know who to talk to, whatever is happening in their lives.
So just from the high school perspective, I'm also the mother of 3 children, one non-binary, one gender fluid, and then one who is still presenting male. They were all male at birth. But I think the one who's non-binary, when they came out in middle school, it was very rough, because middle schoolers, no matter what it is, they're not mature enough to deal with anything. And it ran through the school very quickly, and unfortunately wasn't handled well by the administration. So we dealt with that. Seeing at the high school, first of all, the kids know which teachers to not let them know. To be really blunt, there are teachers in the building, I'm sure there are teachers all over the district and in many other districts, that don't agree with it and don't think it allowed, but the kids learn quickly. You can tell based on personalities or some comments that may not even be directly related to the community. And they also know those of us that are safe spaces. One of the things we did this year was we purchased from Gender Inclusive Schools posters that said, "I'm an educator who believes," and it's all of the various things that essentially affirms as many groups as possible in a poster this big. So the kids are very supportive. There is definitely bullying that happens at the high school. I don't want to diminish that. But the kids find their groups. There's 2,200 kids at the high school in West Orange. So they can find their people. And then they find those teachers that they become closer to, whether it's kids that I know from the musical and the plays, or from the chorus teacher, or their woodshop teacher, whatever it might be. So it is interesting. And like Karen said, no, we can't out the kid, but a lot of times the kids at the high school, if they're being bullied, they want, unless their parents don't know, they want it dealt with as a HIB, because they want the punishment to be what it should be, not what it has to be, because they don't want to disclose it to people. Most kids at the high school, not all, and the biggest problem we run into is the kids whose parents don't know. So I mentioned this before we were live. My start of school survey has changed over 25 years of teaching, and now has a question about, what name do you want to be called? What are your pronouns? And then the follow-up questions are, can I use this name with your parents? Can I use your pronouns with your parents? Can I use it with your friends? Can I use it with other teachers? And more of the teachers at the high school are doing that because they're finding that the kids are receptive to it. And they're more receptive when you mess up the pronouns. If you've made that effort, they're like, don't forget in the survey, right? And it can become a way of dealing with it that way.
So as it relates to the pronouns and New Jersey law, if a student shares with you that they are preferring to be called by a different name, that name being one that where they are basically informing you that they are transitioning or using an identity that's different than they are using at home. By law, are they allowed to do so in school? Are you come?
So in New Jersey, because it's different per state, but in New Jersey, if a student wants to change their name and pronouns, they can do that officially or non-officially. I mean, when I say officially, I don't mean on their birth certificate, obviously, but officially, I mean in our system on PowerSchool. So if it's official, we need to fill out a gender identity plan. And of course, we would have a lengthy conversation with the student to affirm them and make sure they also understand what that means to change their name on PowerSchool. Once their name is changed on PowerSchool, that means their parents are going to be aware of it. Are the parents aware of it? Are the parents supportive of it? And we want to make sure they're not going to be in a very terrible situation at home. We don't want to create conflicts at home. So we would have a long conversation and several conversations with students to make sure they understand what that means. When the students are all for it, we fill out the gender identity plan, we submit it, and their name is changed within 24 hours on PowerSchool. This is very quick. Their email is changed, everything in Google Classroom is changed. That's for the official one. And New Jersey law says that unfortunately parents do not have, I mean, unfortunately, parents do not have to agree to that. So this is the student right, and that's what it is. Now, we do have students who know that the parents are not in agreement, will not be supportive, or so they say, because oftentimes I realize that parents are more supportive than what their children are saying, but and they do not want to do it officially on PowerSchool. So we do call them. They do go by a different name at the school, and they go by different pronouns at the school, and this is their safe space. So they are a certain person in the school and a different person at home, and the parents do not have to know, and this is the law. We have to protect students in their identity.
Now, is that age dependent, or is that any age?
Any age.
Any age. And I can tell you at the high school level, when I filled out all the forms at the beginning of the year for my twins who are seniors, you know, they asked us what we wanted on the diploma. So we put Sky Cohen, which is what Sky goes by, rather than their dead name. And I know the high school, sorry, if I don't move my mouse, I keep losing my my screen, and I've got two monitors. They do the same thing at the high school in West Orange. It's up to the students, but in that case, it has to get the parents' approval, because the parents are the ones that ultimately get the diploma. So there are students that will say, nope, use that name, as they roll their eyes, because they don't want to, but they know that's what is better for their situation at home. And the number of students who do not have parents that know is always bigger than I can imagine, because I just can't imagine not being supportive of your child. But I grew up in the South, so I've seen both sides of the argument. And I don't want to go too deep down this road. I don't believe West Orange has seen it yet, but in Madison, we've got a group of anti-trans, anti-LGBTQ parents showing up at board meetings, trying to get the policy of the school of this law that all schools have overturned, and that it doesn't belong in schools. And it's very reminiscent of what we're hearing nationally. And luckily we have a team of parents that just show up at board meetings and counteract everything they're saying. But it is scary how many parents don't affirm what their child or children are. So,
I mean, as a parent myself, I found that to be very interesting, that those laws exist, and students or youth have the rights that they do have, and parents who normally have veto power if need be. Basically, those rights are there to help those students with when the parents are not as affirming. And so I think it's important for parents to know that those laws exist, and it's also important for students to know that those laws exist. And if you guys don't mind hanging out, I want to talk a little bit more about the GSA and the importance of affirmation and socialization with our groups. If you guys could just hang out with us just for a minute. We also want to bring out another guest who's with us today. And Akim is going to do the honors of the introduction here. I'm so excited. And I know she has something to say about the youth because she does work with youth as well. But you got it. You got it, Akim. I want to play her clip when you finish and bring her out.
Okay. All right. Yes. So yes, up next we have a very special guest. She is an R&B singer, a songwriter, Sanger. Yes,
Sanger.
that's specific. But yeah, you can hear. I'm sure you've heard her voice, her music on your local radio stations. Just throughout the country. She's put out a number of projects. She has a current single out now with Raheem Devon called "Pace Yourself." And yeah, her name is Tanya Nolan.
Follow my lead, listen to me, softly to me, listen to me. Baby, make my body proud. Baby, take me down, but don't be in a hurry, 'cause tonight I got big plans for you. Tonight I'll ask of you. Pace yourself with this love. Pace yourself. Don't rush, don't rush, don't rush, don't rush. Just feel it. Come on, I got no time for this love. So baby, don't rush, don't rush, don't rush, don't rush. Feel it.
Thank you.
Did I say Sanger?
You did. You did.
Sanger. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, congratulations on all the success that you've had in music. Yeah, I mean, you're still definitely a rising artist in the space, but you've been able to make such headway in ways that I think resonates with just a lot of what we're talking about today, but just in the world in general, because you bring love to the forefront in almost everything that you do. And if you wouldn't mind just kind of just sharing your own personal story about just where you're from, how do you identify, and your pronouns.
Okay. Well, I don't have any pronouns. I'm just Tanya.
Okay.
I'm guessing it will be she and her.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm from Galveston, Texas. Currently live in Houston, Texas. Been in Houston for over 20 years. I own the largest childcare facility, me and my wife, in the state of Texas, which is in Lamarck, Texas, and we also have one in Galveston, Texas. And I'm also an artist, a recording artist, of course, singer and a songwriter, and I love music.
Yeah, I do too, personally. So I get that. That's of course how we originally connected with my work at Pandora, and
I was like, I said to myself, I know him. Yeah, I said that, and then as I'm listening, I was like, that's where I know him from. That's
yes, I know. But yeah, how did you get into the childcare business? Because I think that's just such an interesting story.
That came from the heavens, because I had no idea. Till this day, I have no kids of my own, But it happened with my baby sister, Letitia Nolan. We're 10 years apart. She's the youngest, and she asked me, she said, hey, I got a business opportunity for you. And she told me about this childcare center that Shonda was about to, she was going to a different location. That was the name of the young lady. And she wanted to know if my sister was interested. And Tisha was like, yes. And then she told me about it. We went in it together for a minute, and Tisha branched off and did her own thing. And that's how that happened. It fell from the skies. I had no idea that that's what I would be doing.
Yeah,
None whatsoever.
yeah, but you do it so well.
Thank you.
One of the things that I do want to call out here is within the work for child care, you sponsor some families.
Oh, I do that
within that work.
often.
Yeah.
Often, at least a few times a month.
Hmm.
I understand, I didn't come from what uh how can I put this? I don't want to say I grew up poor, but I know what it's like to lack when when your money is not stretching. So it's my honor to actually help some of my parents.
Yeah. That's a godsend, I'm sure, for a lot of people.
Even when it comes to the holidays and school
Yeah.
clothes, like I pay attention to our kids when it comes to their shoes, the ones that are eating a little bit more than others, things like that. And we're not open on the weekends. So most of the time, pretty much all of the time, the ones that I know that needs that assistance, I send food home with them on the weekend, stretch till Monday, because
Wow.
I don't want to be worried about it.
Wow.
It literally would bother me. So my team members know to do that. Pack their food for the weekend, stretch till Monday.
Yes. Yeah, you truly are a godsend in that aspect, I'm sure. And I wanted to know also too, have you come across any experiences with children within the community, within the LGBTQ plus community? Not, of course they're too young to truly, say how they identify, but have you had situations where you've had to navigate some of those conversations with parents and
Okay, with the kids, I'll bring them to my office. I'm like, hey, Miss Tanya's not going to say anything. You can trust me. Because a lot of time I can see the concern on their face, and I have a zero tolerance for bullies. I do not deal with it whatsoever. And the parents only get 2 warnings, not 3. So if you don't check them at home, you'll need to take them somewhere else. And I stress that. Some of them get bullied and teased at school, and I'm seeing that they're just not in good spirits. And I would definitely pull them aside, especially the ones that I know that is LGBTQ. Like I know, and so I'm like, hey, I talk to them first. I'm not waiting to just always speak to their parents because I see the hurt. And then with some of the parents, some of them are not so nice and are not going to be understanding and will straight up say, hey, I need for you to mind your business. I got this. And I have to be careful with my tone and how I'm going to say this to them with the ones that are that way. And I simply say, well, when they are in my care, they are my business. And this is what's happening. So, hey, let's deal with this appropriately, because if it's on my mind when I go to sleep at night and I wake up and it's still on my mind and I'm thinking that this kid is getting abused in any kind of way, whether it's physically or verbally, then you're forcing me to have to do something about it. And you don't want me to do nothing about it. You don't want those people in your life.
Yeah.
So how are we going to deal with this?
Absolutely. Yeah. And face it head on, because
I have to. And then some people say I'm too direct. I don't know how else to be. So I don't know how to sugarcoat that.
Yeah. And the kids need that. I'm sure you create such a safe space for the kids. So
I do. I have cameras everywhere. I mean, paid the extra money, even whereas they have to put in a code before they get in. And then I'll change that code every so often, because some of the kids that are no longer in my care and the parents still have it, I'll change it every so often, like every other month. And then the rest of the parents are going to get an email with this new code.
Yes. Yes. Check your email. So speaking, you on a personal level, like at what point, or did you always kind of have the courage to be who you are, to identify the way you identified? Like at what point did that happen for you?
It's about to be funny. So I told my mom, I came home, and my mom is a Christian and she's an usher in the church. Okay, feel me on this.
I know.
Okay. I said, Mom, this is my girlfriend. She said, well, you know how I raised you. Those are her words. You know what it says in the Bible. I said, well, Mom, this is who I'm with. And my mom was very respectful. She didn't call me out of my name or anything like that, those words. She was welcoming in her own way. And she found a way in her own way to accept it and still love me. So it was a little, rocky. But when I stepped into my own truth, I talked to myself often. I kept telling myself, I matter. I need to please me first before I please anyone else. What makes me happy? What is it that I want to do? I said, if they're staring, let them stare. Baby, I'm going to hold your hand. I want to hold your hand. It's okay for me to want to kiss you on the cheek. Let them look, let them stare. They're looking at something beautiful. This is exactly what I say. God. So I talk to myself, I mentor myself, and I keep it pressing because I'm with everywhere do I go, I'm there. So I embrace my shadow and I love me, because if I don't, I will be broken all the way, because the people in this world, everybody is not so nice, and everybody is going to always have an opinion. And I say that to myself often. And I say to myself, Tanya, does their opinion matters more than yours? And I say to myself, hell, absolutely not. You said keep it PG. No, it does not. And I'll say that every once in a while. And I'm big on affirmations. Even when it comes to my kids, my staff have team members. They say the affirmations that I have written for both our facilities before breakfast, before snack and lunch, and then occasionally during dinner time. And normally if I'm there, they're going to do it four times. Just to put that smile on my face, because I want them kids to feel how I feel, whether they're straight or not. You matter. Your opinion matters, because they have to deal with this world. So when I'm no longer here, I want to know that I actually help them grow in that way, to know that they are mattered and that they are loved. And if no one wants to love you for who you are, then guess what? Love yourself.
Yes, that is an important message. And then I also want to touch on too, we're both part of the music industry, which, is not necessarily the most welcoming place for people who, I may identify differently than whatever is supposed to be the mainstream, I guess.
Right.
Yeah. How have you been able to, I know for me, just on a personal level, I didn't come out professionally until maybe about 5-6 years ago. So, was coming out personally at 21, and then almost 10 to 15 years passed before I had the courage to come out professionally. And you've essentially came into the business as who you are.
Here I go.
With your strength and everything. So
check out that video I like.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and you have music that speaks to it. You've done music videos that that are your girlfriend is in it. So where, I guess the question is, what has that experience been like for you in music, just to be who you are?
How can I put this? I talk to my creator often, and I strongly feel what is for me is for me. And I say, I'm not going to allow these people to make me feel as if I am less than just because they don't approve of my lifestyle. So I said, I just have to keep it pushing and do what's best for me, especially if I'm not hurting anyone. If you pay attention to my videos, and it's very tasteful. I'm very respectful with it, simply because I want to be, and that's really who I am. And I said, my tribe will find me. The right people will find me and love me. The right people will support me, like people like you, Akim. I know what you have done, and I'm thankful. And Carl, also thank you for having me on this show. It means a lot to me. This is my first time doing a show like this, and I wanted to do it. Like when Sweets told me, I got super excited. I said, I don't care what's on the schedule, make this priority, and she did. So
awesome. Thank you.
It's like the right people will come. It's impossible for them to block my blessings. It's impossible. And that's how I look at it. And so, you know, I try to control my how can I put this, my tone and what I'm saying to some of these people, but a lot of time I straight up ignore them and it upsets them. I
Yes,
would not give them my attention because
yes,
guess what? They're not deserving of it. And that's how I feel.
Mm.
They don't know me. And I feel as if it's a disservice to them.
Yeah, it is a disservice to them because they're missing out on just how incredible, we can be as individuals and the example we can be.
Exactly. So what you just said, that means they're not meant to be in my circle.
Mhm.
And it's not a see you later. I'm breaking the cord. Bye. So please don't come back. That's how I feel.
Yes, that's how I feel too. So I feel you. Same. Don't need you. Bye.
Yeah, bye. Yes. It's so much I can say. I'm controlling myself.
Yeah, I get
If
that.
I might just revisit quickly what you said earlier about your rocky time with your mom and that journey. If there was something that you take away from that journey that a parent watching this story unfold could learn to perhaps shorten the rocky time with their own child, what would you suggest? That
I would suggest that they first of all, they need to be careful. And the minute that their child says, I don't need for you to be proud of me, I no longer want your approval, that's going to be a problem for them because they're putting distance. You're putting distance. It's like you don't want them to mourn you while you are still living. And I've had to do that with some family members and actually people who I thought were friends that I thought loved me before I came out. And I won't say that it didn't hurt. I was highly disappointed. And once again, I went to my creator, how do I deal with this? And every time I ask, the answers, my questions are answered. It comes to me every single time. So it may come to me through radio. It may come to me through TV. It may come to me from a simple stranger because for some reason I attract people who wants to talk to me a lot. And it may come to me and I'm like, that is my confirmation. And I move on. So to answer your question, when it comes to some of these parents, some just going to be stuck on ignorant. And some are just going to be stuck on what you call, and I'm trying to be careful with this, religion. And that's shame on them. That's how I feel about that.
Got you. I know that you have to run. You have another
No, I've been texting. I told him. But yes, I'm listening.
But you shared something new that you have just created, and we got it.
It's
so
specifically for the LGBTQ community, and they're not shaking it too hard because I said, "Hey, this is going to be on TV. We're not gonna do too much twerking." So I'm loving it. I'm loving it, and I wrote the song, and it's pretty much about manifestation. Write what you want. You are created within yourself, and words are so powerful. I'm stressing that. Write what you want, visualize it. I am a dreamer. A lot of times I look forward to going to sleep, not just because I'm sleepy, just going to sleep to dream about what is it that I want. And for me, it's always, as long as I'm living, it's always what's next. And I get excited about it. I'm a big dreamer because back in the day, I was told that dreamers are fools. Just all the way, just lies. I tell my kids all the time, dream about what you want. Draw. What is it that you want? Draw me a picture. Tell me what you want. What are you excited about? And I tell them these things. Why? When you woke up this morning, what was some of the first thing you did before you washed your face and brushed your teeth? What was the agenda? Like I talk to them about things like that. So many things, but some of the things that have made me a better person, spiritually and mentally, I share that with strangers and my kids that are in my care, even my nieces and nephews. And, you know, some people will be like, oh, she crazy. Think what you must. You don't know me. I can be crazy if I choose to. Keep talking crazy to me so I can really show you what crazy is. So, yeah, create your best life is about manifestation, loving yourself, and having fun, and looking forward to whatever you ask for coming into fruition.
Awesome. Well, we're going to play that. And also, thank you so much for being here.
And everybody that was on this panel was wonderful. I mean, everybody. I listened to everyone. Everybody was great. I learned some new things that I'm going to incorporate in my curriculum and at our centers. I appreciate that.
Wow.
And we hope that next year you may join us here for the Love and Unity Fest.
Next year, I will.
Yes.
You heard it
Let's
here.
go.
You heard it here.
Yeah.
All right. And in the meantime, we are going to check out your latest, create your best. And
it's magical.
So
it's magical.
Let's go.
You got it. Thank you, Tanya, for being here.
Thank you.
All right.
I'ma have a lot of fun and a lot of dancing. I'ma puff and a pass and a little drinking. I'ma grab someone and dance and get a like it. I'ma do whatever I want. My head is in the clouds, I wanna scream out loud. And it's turning me on. Let me make a quick try, 45 my zone. I've been decisive, but I know for sure that this is what I want, cause this is what I wrote. Dreams turn to reality, creating everything what's best for me. Now just one thing that I know for sure is that this is what I want, cause this is what I wrote. Creating everything what's best for me. Now just one thing that I know for sure is that this is what I want, cause this is what I wrote.
Yeah, exclusive.
It's not even out yet. Y'all got a sneak peek on that one.
Absolutely. Hey man, that was really, really nice, man. I appreciate that. That was dope.
Yeah. And I think that's I just want to shout out, like, when people say unapologetic, that's what it looks like. So.
Absolutely. And hey, we got a commitment. She's gonna be here next year. That's right. But I want you guys to remember that the Love and Unity Fest is happening this year, this Saturday, rain or shine, May 20th. It's going to be at Liberty Middle School, West Orange, New Jersey, from 1 till 6 p.m. We have amazing performances. I'd like to include myself in that amazing category.
Of course.
We're gonna tear it down. It's gonna be great. And you know, it's just a great time to come out and just sort of really get into the love that we have for one another, human beings. And from there, we get to have those conversations like we're having tonight, man. It's really cool. I want to bring out our next guest, but I want to make sure everyone really gets to the heart of how we got here and what we're doing. And then we're going to bring our next guest on. But check it out. This is really where it's all about. We see a lot of divisiveness in our neighborhood.
Come on, let's clap for real love. Clap for real love. Clap for real love. These are my 2 reasons why I began this. These are my champions. These are my champions, guys. Jordan and Justine. 2 years ago, there was an increasing uprising of violence against people of color, violence against alternate lifestyles, and the political discourse has gotten increasingly harsh. Would you agree? Would you agree? And when I looked at the situation, I said, what's missing is love. What's missing is love. And so I began this festival in West Orange to bring everyone together without, it's not about political agendas or black and white or Democrat or Republican or straight or gay, or it's not about any of that. It's about love. And can we just have one day where we just come together and love? And that's what today is about. And if you're enjoying yourself, can you just applaud for you coming out for love today? We've got to make this world better.
Absolutely. Hey, Deb, thank you so much. You're going to be with us this weekend at the Love and Unity Fest, and you're the club advisor for the GSA.
Correct.
I wanted to just quickly, I know you have to run, but I wanted to really allow you to just share the importance to those who are watching of affirming through other youth that can identify why that's important in the club experiences.
It totally is. And Jen and I took over this year after 3 different other transitions, one through COVID, one after COVID. And we took it over this year. And so it's been a challenge, but one of the things we've learned through the students is they need each other's support, not just to deal with what I'm going to call high school silliness and meanness, because it exists just like it exists at the middle school, but for those students who don't have the affirmations outside of school from their families. It allows them a place where they can have it. I mean, we're rechanging the name. We're keeping GSA, but for the Google Classroom, we're coming up with a bogus name, because if their parents see it, then they won't, and it'll just be very generic. Our next meeting will be this or that or whatever, which I think it's a shame to do it. But one of the things that our president-elect has done, who I understand is your neighbor, Parker, I'm trying to blank on Parker's last name, but he said
we ain't gonna do last names.
Yeah, but anyway, they suggested, and Mr. Moore and Mr. Guerrero got on board on June 1st. We have purchased flags for every building in the district, and we will be taking a bus tour and doing flag raisings at some of the schools, and other schools that will just be handing it over to the principals. Most of those are the elementary schools, which we were not too surprised by. There'll be a full ceremony. G is hopefully coming on June 1st at 8 a.m. before she deals with the craziness of the bakery, or in between. But so we're going to do a full ceremony there, and there will be flags hanging at both flagpoles at the high school. But it made the kids feel empowered that this was acceptable, not only to teachers they knew, but that the administration was on board, and the administration all the way literally to the top. Mr. Moore was like, just tell me where to purchase them. I'll purchase them. We'll purchase what we need and we'll take care of it. So it's a safe space for many, many kids. And the other nice thing is we only meet twice a month, but both mine and Jen's room are open several other days during the month, where if they want to just come and sit and do lunch or do work or not deal with, the cafeteria or whatever, they're welcome to. And they know they have a guaranteed safe space, in a couple places in the building. So
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for what you do. I'm looking forward to meeting everybody at the fest on Saturday. It's going to be great, rain or shine. It's gonna be great. We're going to have a good time, and I'm so happy that you're doing the work that you're doing, and the parents that are watching, that their children have an outlet, that they have a resource, they have a way to socialize through these pivotal years. So Thank you so much, Deb. Appreciate you.
No problem. And anybody that wants to, Carl's wife has my email. You're welcome to reach out. I have to go see my senior in their last band concert, but it was a pleasure. I learned a lot from others in Garden State Equality. We will be in touch.
All right. Thank you so much. Hey, Gia.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, I'm going to bring Akim back in. Hey, man.
Hey. What's up, Gia?
All right.
Hey, Akim.
So we have Gia. Gia, will you please introduce yourself?
Okay, well, I am Gia Garcia. I am the chair of the West Orange Pride Coalition movement in West Orange. We put on the LGBTQIA plus Pride celebrations in town. We've been doing it since 2016. We were the first ones to do it ever in West Orange, and we've been doing it ever since. I'm also the owner of Willow and Olivia on 255 Main Street in West Orange. And I believe I'm the first ever business in West Orange to proudly fly the rainbow flag all year round in West Orange. And I am part of the community also. So yeah.
And you're also a parent.
And I'm also a parent. Yes.
Wonderful.
So I have many views.
Yeah, and I wanted to share this with you both, and Gia, you guys, you both comment on this. Just there were some tips that I saw out there that we want to leave with parents. That the title of this is "Loving Your LGBTQ plus Child," and many parents who have not gone this journey, who are not in the community, such as myself, this is a new walk. This is, and well, if your child is, declares or identifies, it would be a new walk for anyone who is not in the community. And so these are some tips, but I'd sure love to hear your views on it, Gia. The first one is lead with love. Listen with intention, show subtle support, learn the terms, or do any of these resonate with you as a parent? And is there anything that you would add to this list for parents who are just beginning this journey?
I always say lists they're great. Words on paper, it's great, but I think as human beings, we always lead with emotion. And that's where a lot of us go to. And when a child comes out to a parent, all the words in the world, all the books in the world, it goes out the window. We're always going to go to that emotional state. And I think as a parent, we're gonna always hold on to that emotion, and we're always gonna want to put ourselves first. And we have to learn that when a child comes to us and say, hey, this is who I am, we have to learn ourselves, like train ourselves to know that it's not about us. It is not about us. And that is what, as being parents, we need to understand. So I think that the first number one should be, it is not about you. That is what, and I think everything else falls into place after that, and because we have to like get out of our own way in order to lead with love, understand, be welcoming, learn the acronyms, learn everything. Like if we're in our way, we're not gonna follow that. We're not gonna understand anything, so I think it's key that we need to understand that when a child comes to you, they're taking a huge step. That is the biggest vulnerability that a child could possibly, in their world, that is the biggest thing for them. And we have to put pride and ego aside. And that, to us, that is the biggest thing for us as a parent, because it's a control mechanism as a parent. And I think we have to unlearn that behavior. Otherwise, the cycle is just gonna keep going around and around and around. And it's a generational thing. You have some parents, you can be accepting, and you could be, well, okay, great, and you have parties. And then you can have that middle parent who is just like, oh, okay, what did I do wrong? Tell me. And then you can have the, what? No child of mine parent, So it's just that spectrum of emotions that you have to navigate, and it all stems from us as parents.
I think also too, if I'm not a parent personally, but I think all too often kind of, parents, they write the script for their children's lives well into adulthood without even considering what that individual wants for themselves. And I think that's where the conflict can sometimes come into play, where it's like, wait, that's not what I envisioned you would be when you grew up, as opposed to just understanding, the point that we're all trying to make here today is it's just about unconditional love and support, and to be there when they're needed.
Right. As gay or queer individuals, we know what we want from parents, right? We know what we would like to receive. But as a parent, you don't know how to give that, because that's not what you're thinking. That's not on your plan. When you're thinking, oh, my princess or my prince, they're gonna marry and they're gonna have that white picket fence, and they're gonna be a lawyer or a doctor, and they're gonna live in the suburbs, and no, well, they live in West Orange. Okay, and and they work 2 jobs, and this is the reality of America, and they're gay. This is what it is, and this is how it is. And yes, they love you. That's the reality, and they're paying your mortgage. So zip it.
We won't get into that part of there's a lot of, I think you can speak to it too, like just
but that's it.
Like most of us, and I think this is very important to point out, most of us who have been able to come out on the other side of, being a part of the community and then finding our own community and finding the support and being able to thrive in our own lives the way we see fit, we're typically the strongest ones in the family, kind of supporting a lot of other people in the family.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that part is a part of the narrative that doesn't get told a lot. I find that most of my friends are the strongest people in their families. They're the ones kind of, the glue holding everything together or providing the support for the parents when they get older and they're
Mhm.
aging, and just like, yeah, we need more credit in that aspect.
Yeah, it is true, and it's that it's the narrative where you go through that. Well, mom, this is who I am. Well, I didn't make you that way, and God didn't make you that way. Well, no, I was born this way. No, I didn't make you that way. Well, that's a guilt trip. That's your thing. That's a you problem. And
Yes.
then they start realizing, okay, well, you're being an adult.
Mhm.
Yes, well, I am an adult. I am an adult. And then they start respecting you and start not seeing a gay you, but seeing an adult you,
Yes.
right? And then they start seeing, oh, this is my child. And
Mhm.
then they start, as you get older, and start voicing your opinion,
Yeah.
but respectfully, well, more than
Yeah.
sudden, because oh well,
Yeah.
and you became that, oh, my son again, or my daughter.
I'm going to jump in. We're hearing some feedback from your microphone, I think.
A little bit.
So just want to make sure that everybody can hear every word you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm going to take you out and bring you back in. Yeah, and so we're rounding up the conversation. I do want to share this other list, even though but I do have another list um, for parents. This is from a source called Parenting Together, and it was a source that was recommended by the Trevor Project, and it's tips for self support. And there, yes, I totally agree with Gia. The parents are people, and people will be human, and there is this. In any transition or change that we face as parents, we sort of have to come with a realization of what was and what is and what's gonna be is gonna be and we all got to find our way to what the new reality is of whatever it is that we face, and face it with love. But in that whole process, parents, we have to remember that we are human, and so with whatever you're going through on the journey, these are some things that were suggested, and hopefully Gia can come back and speak to these as well. Gia, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me better?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And these are tips for us parents to, as they get themselves through this transition, remember that you're not alone. There are other parents who have gone through this. Um, Remember that your feelings are valid. Remember that it is a journey, and that you are important. Um, but Gia, there's something I've heard you speak to as it relates to the type of friendship that the way you position yourself in the parenting uh, equation as a parent friend. Um,
Yes.
and I'm wondering if that might be something that you would share for parents in this conversation, and And perhaps that might be the word we close on.
Okay. I think what you're referring to is I think it's important for especially the younger kid, right? If a younger kid comes to a parent and says, "Hey, I'm gay or bi or whatever it is, whatever spectrum," I think it's important that you position yourself as a friend to that kid, that child. It's very important. Kids are not built the way we were built.
Mm.
They're just not. Mentally, they're not anymore. And I think it's important that we be there for them and let them know that they can come to us and tell us anything. And no matter how much you internally want to like be like, what do you mean? And react, it is very important as a parent to internalize that and deal with it internally, because the last thing you need is your child to feel that they cannot come to you. And that, I believe, in this community is the worst feeling for a child to have,
Yes.
because there is no worse feeling for a child to feel unloved by a whole group of friends socially and unloved by a parent as well. And that I think it really helps when a child comes out to a family member, especially a parent. So as much as we have heard like, don't be a friend to your, be a parent, don't be a friend, we've all grown up with that. I think I think it's wrong. I really do. I think it matters. Like, you should have respect. Your child should have respect for you. But I believe you should be a friend to your child, for your child to be comfortable enough to come to you no matter what, when they need you. So.
And I think those are definitely words that we can put a comma here, or maybe a period, with a dot to be continued. This is a great conversation, and perhaps the West Orange Rainbow Coalition, or GSA, or even Mr. Bryant himself, the baton picks up. The whole point of the Love and Unity effort and mission is be to springboard into the conversations. That doesn't necessarily mean that it continues only in this space, but that it grows, and that the conversation sprouts. And I'm so happy that you have connected with the GSA club, and we are all here now with Garden State Equality, with Justine and Damian, and this is how change happens. When we're connecting with one another, we're finding our common ground, we're supporting one another, and we move forward together. So I know Akim's going to say his final remarks, and I personally do want to thank each of you for being a part of this. Shout out to Damian as well, and Tanya Nolan also, and for everyone that will watch this as well as the replay. Akim?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, just thank you, Carl, for just facilitating this entire week of events, and the Love and Unity Fest is, of course, plug it, coming up on Saturday. Let's all attend and just enjoy all of this wonderful energy in person together and community wise. And yeah, just on a personal level, I'm, you've been a friend of mine for a number of years now, and just to watch you grow this initiative from infancy all the way up to, kind of like a teenager now. So yeah, it's just incredible to watch, and it's incredible to be a part of this journey, to be a part of this conversation. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Justine. I look forward to seeing you and Damian on Saturday. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Gia. And thank you, everybody. We're going to leave you now the same way we began, in love. Everyone, please enjoy LOVE. Good night.
Love came to teach us how to love, to truly love, to love unconditionally. Love chose us to bring forth love.
I've got a question, but I ain't got the answer. So maybe you can help a brother out if you like. Why can't we just love each other? You're my sister, you're my brother. Can we find a way to figure this love thing out? What the world needs is L-O-V-E, love. What the world needs is L-O-V-E, love. Been going crazy. Love's the one thing that unifies.